Hi, welcome to another video from Howell Reese Artist. I hope this really finds you well. Today I want to finish the painting that we started in the last of these weekly videos, which was, if you recall, of a young lady, a model, a photograph that I took at a sort of group photo shoot that I went to a couple of months back. But in finishing it, I also want to show how an artist has freedom to change key aspects of the lighting of the original to achieve a specific effect. And the effect I'm going to look at today is something called Rembrandt lighting. It's called Rembrandt lighting because it was something that the Dutch old master Rembrandt van Rijn, apologies to any Dutch people who for my pronunciation, but it's something that he used extensively throughout his very long career. He painted professionally from the time he was a young man till he was quite an old man. And consistently throughout his career, he used this lighting style very, very frequently, so much so that it became known as Rembrandt lighting. And the photograph that I was using as the basis for the painting in the last video is nearly has Rembrandt lighting on it, but not quite. So I wanted to just sort of create that and and show you that style of lighting. Now I'm just going to switch to Photoshop. There we go. And that's the painting as we left it in the last video. I've painted the hair and the background and her shoulders, and there's obviously areas around the edge of her hair, between the hair and the background, that need to be finished, and her face needs to be finished. Excuse me, coughing in this video. I may do it again. I have actually got a bit of a summer cold at the moment. So the next step that I took, and this is I have actually done all this before the video. The next step I took was to paint the lit side of her face. If we look at the original photograph for a moment, it has got what some people call split lighting. So the one side of her face is lit, and the other side is in shadow. Now that is a common way of lighting photographs. It's not the Rembrandt lighting that I was referring to a moment ago, but it is commonly used by photographers and artists, and it's particularly in portraits because it it is actually quite flattering to the face, and it plays on I suppose you could almost call it an optical illusion, whereby we are instinctively drawn to look at the lit side of the face rather than the shadow side of the face, and that makes the sort of face look narrower in a way. And if you look objectively at her face, the width of the lit section is less than the width of the shadow section. In other words, she's turned slightly to me when I was taking this photograph, and the broader section of the face is the one that's in shadow. If it was the other way around and the broader section of her face was the one that was lit, it would actually give her it would actually give the impression of a fatter face, which is not flattering. So we've got split lighting, but we haven't quite got Rembrandt lighting. I'll explain in a minute what Rembrandt lighting is. But in this second version of the painting, what I've done is I've painted the lit side of her face. Now, the normal rule when you're painting a face is that you are very, very careful to keep the shadows in their correct place, because basically the shape of the face is defined by the shadows. So you have to be really, really careful to keep the shadows in the correct place. Otherwise, it ends up not looking like the person that you were painting, which is obviously not a good thing. But in this case, if you look very carefully, if I'll just flick between the photograph and the painting. There's the photograph. There's the painting. Do you see the two aspects of the shadows on her face? Two very small aspects, subtle aspects on the lit side of the face that I've changed is I've dragged the shadow down slightly under her eye. Oops, sorry. Let me, is that right? See, I've dragged that shadow a bit lower, and I've also dragged the shadow on her chin a little bit lower as well. Now that's getting ready to paint the shadow side of the face and install and paint the Rembrandt lighting. Now, the Rembrandt lighting. There's the original photograph, and if I turn the painting on, can you see that I've dragged the shadow on her cheek down, so that that little patch of light on the shadow side of her face has become more of a triangle, more of a triangular shape, and that's the Rembrandt lighting. That's what Rembrandt became known for, and any artist who's familiar with his work, any photographer who's familiar with his work will instinctively say, "Ah, you've used Rembrandt lighting." It was sort of partly there, and I've just sort of exaggerated it. But in order to make it consistent, I've also pulled down the shadow on her top lip, and on her chin, so that the whole of the shadow of her nose is coming down the face, whereas in the original it's going across her face. So if you can imagine the light, there was a flashlight on her from her right hand side, so the left hand side as you're looking at at your screen, the light is coming almost flat across her face, whereas in the painting the light is coming down from the top left of the screen. That's more natural anyway, because if you think about it, we are instinctively used to light which comes from above. Whether we're outside in the sunshine or inside in artificial light, light comes from above. And if light comes from any other direction, it feels subtly wrong. So the lighting in this photograph is actually subtly wrong. It's too horizontal. If the lighting was coming up from underneath and causing shadows which go up her face, it would look really, really strange. And if you look at horror films, for example, they will use a lot of upward lighting because it makes the face look very distorted and strange and unusual. So I hope that by going for the Rembrandt lighting, I've also corrected a basic lighting fault with the original photograph. So that's Rembrandt lighting for you. It's something that I say that Rembrandt dropped on early in his career and used throughout that very long career, decades long career. Um, I will see if I can dig out a link to some Rembrandt paintings and put it in the description of this video when it's posted, so that you can see examples of him using it. And I will undoubtedly be using it again, I'm sure, in paintings that I do, because I think it's a very attractive form of lighting. So that's this video finished. That's this painting finished. I will now do some quality assurance checks on it just to make sure it's absolutely right, and I will be posting this on my normal channels fairly shortly. Thank you for listening along, watching along. I trust that you have the rest of the week is great for you, and God bless, and I'll see you again soon.